Welcome in everyone to another edition of the 70 Chipcast here on the Pro Football Enterprises YouTube channel. Please make sure you are subscribed if you are not already and hit notifications for any time Ben uploads a new video. He's putting in a lot of work. He's in the basement. He's got the blanket over the projector, like the old time. Like he's watching all the film, he's grinding it, taking notes, putting out mocks, putting out draft profiles. He's doing all the stuff. So make sure you subscribe to Enterprises YouTube channel, and you'll get more content like this and all the other draft stuff. So before we jump into running backs, as you can tell, that's not a secret as to what we're talking about tonight. We got a few things to talk about before that. Ben, how are we doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I love getting to get on here and talk about the Commanders and work through all of the off-season things, the roster building, the cap management. I love it. And then I even love probably even more, I don't know, it's close. Studying the draft prospect college football tapes. I mean, I just absolutely love it. You know, I really enjoy getting to break down the film on these guys. So, sit down for 2 hours, break down one of Iowa's offensive linemen or, one of Southern Cal's wide receivers, I really enjoy it. So yeah, we're doing good.
So not this year, but we kind of talked about a little bit before we started recording. Is there going to be a Ben's big board for 2027?
There needs to be. I've already got one. Matter of fact, I've got about 50 players sitting in a pile already for 27, the 2027 watch list, right? I've already got 50 players sitting there in that pile. I don't have it organized 1 through 50 yet, but yeah, there needs to be. I've got, I don't know, 120 players on my 26 big board. I just haven't had time to put it out. So hopefully next year I'm organized enough to get that out too. So I know so many millions of people are waiting for that.
Hey, look, I think you'd get a lot of traction out of that personally, but we'll see for 2027. Maybe you'll do like I don't know, that'd probably be too much work, but put it out like before August or like the last week of July or maybe first week of August and then just update it like throughout the season. That's probably be way too much work, but um
No, that's actually where I want to be. I'm not quite there yet, but that's where I want to be. You know, I and I'm not a guy. I constantly update my big board, but I'm not a guy who rips guys all over the place. You won't typically see me rank a guy 40th in the summer, shove him up to 10th by November and then yank him back down to 70th by by April, right?
yeah.
I'm going to hold way more constant on my guys than that. The reason for it is I love watching the tape. When you watch the tape, and that really is for me probably 90% of a guy's analysis. When you watch the tape, and I don't watch every snap, I probably watch 5 or 6 games on a lot of these guys. When you watch the tape, that forms the basis for everything. And so you're not usually surprised when somebody says, well, he only runs a 4.47. It's like, yeah, that already showed up on tape.
Yeah.
Or, when you start to, hear things like, well, his RAS score was very average, or, he's not the greatest teammate. A lot of that kind of shows up on tape. So anyway, point being, I don't go up and down too much on the guys. There's more constant. It's not that much work. We'll see.
Well, I'm excited for it if you do it. I'm hoping that you do it for 27.
Thank you very
But
much. We'll aim for it.
we'll see what happens. So I believe last time we spoke, Andrew Wiley had re-signed. Am I right in saying that?
Yes,
Yeah.
that is
Okay.
correct. That had already
So
happened.
so we extended Andrew Wiley. Okay. Since then, not too long after that, unfortunately, we seem to miss all the big news hits. Not too long after that, Tyler Biadasz was released. Depending on when they designate that release to happen, it's going to save
Yeah.
anywhere between 2 million if they do it now and over 8 if it's a post June 1 release. So I would think that's a post June 1 release, but I don't know that for sure. It wouldn't make much sense otherwise because I mean, what are you going to do saving 2 million? right now. I think it'd be better if you saved the 8 after June 1, but I don't know how cash strapped they actually are trying to get these moves in. So I don't know. But that happened. It was shocking because even though we had talked about that there's no succession plan for Tyler Biadasz, and that something needed to happen. I mean, I pointed out that there was clear regression, and all these stats have been, being put out over the past, week or so about how good Tyler Biadasz was, how he's a top half of the league center, and how good he was, and the pressures, the sacks, and all that. And like, yeah, that's fine. I'm sure PFF liked Tyler Biadasz. He wasn't a bad center. I even said that he was a good center. He wasn't a great center, and there was clear regression over the past 3 years, since his last year in Dallas, first year in Washington, to last year. There was clear regression. I just pointed that out. I didn't say we should cut him. I just said we need a succession plan because if he keeps declining, injuries keep piling up, it's not going to be good. Um, yeah, wasn't expecting his release, but kind of foresaw eventually it happening. I don't know what you do now. Tyler Linderbaum, I don't believe would be the answer. I don't really want to spend 20 plus million on a center.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, there is the draft, but we already have so many needs in the draft already that I
Yeah.
don't know that it's going to be guaranteed that we can get. I mean, I'm sure we can get one, but you're basically saying we need to get everything else figured out first. You know, combine that move with Nick Allegretti, instead of being released, he's now extended. At the time, at this time, right now, the second, Tyler Biadasz is, or not Tyler Biadasz, Nick Allegretti is our starting center, which I don't like. I don't even like him as a starting guard. No, forget about starting center. Uh, that needs to change ASAP. This is them hedging their bets a little bit. Um, for two things. If Chris Paul doesn't get re-signed, because he's going to be commanding a lot of money due to his age, or that they don't find a center. I don't like that you're hedging that on both positions, but that's the reality of the situation. So I hope we find a center. I'm not wanting to pay 20 some million for one, but I'm hoping we find one that's going to be around for at least a couple years.
Yeah, I agree. Now, it's actually a good draft year for centers, in my opinion, to my way of thinking. When you look at the guys that could be available, again, not first round, when you look at guys that might be available down where we're picking, Connor Lew from Auburn is a guy I've been touting everywhere to anybody who will listen. Again, not
Hmm.
first round, but farther down. Jake Slaughter, if you want a guy who's brilliant, I mean, brilliant, football brilliant, and has good athleticism, Slaughter's your guy. If you want the guy, no surprise here, but Sam Hesh, and I apologize, I didn't look to see if it was Hesh or Hecht, but Sam Hesh from Kansas State. Typically he is what those guys typically are, very technically sound, good strength, good mobility, just very all around sound kind of a guy. Boy, that's three guys right there that are sitting, anywhere from 50 to 100, which would be right in our wheelhouse. So maybe they're leaning that direction, but maybe not. Maybe they're just going to go get a cheaper guy in free agency, and that's fine too. That would surprise me. But it's a good year in the draft if you want to be grabbing a center. I think there are guys there that are highly functional. And, the Biotish move surprised me. I really did not see that coming this year. I was kind of wanting to pipeline that position. Like, let's draft somebody this year for center and then let Biotish go next year. Because, like you said, he was fine this year. It just wasn't what we were used to seeing out of him from years before. But, they went ahead and made the move. And I actually would prefer um, that they don't turn that into a P61 cut myself, which would again bump a lot of the money they owed Biotish from an accounting standpoint, right? A cap standpoint, it would bump it into next year. We've got so much money to play with this year. I'd rather just go ahead and eat that this year and not bother next year's cap. But be that as it may, I'm fine that they let him go, and I'm fine that they're going to move on. That's totally fine. I just didn't expect it.
Yeah, I mean, again, we can point to all the stats that you want to point to. I know what I saw with my eyes, and I saw Biadasz struggling at times, getting pushed straight back into Jaden's lap or Marcus Mariota's lap.
Yeah.
Um, and it wasn't Cosme or Paul that it was that was the cause of that. It was Biadasz
Yeah.
getting pushed back. So, I didn't want to see him go right now. I just was saying we needed a succession plan.
Right.
Now we definitely need one. We need one
Now
ASAP.
we do.
Um, Also, Marshawn Lattimore officially released, saving 18.3 million, something like that, in cap space, which was much needed. It was a bad trade. And every hindsight's 2020, right? Like we liked the
Yeah.
move when it
Yeah.
happened. Uh, but that's it just didn't work out. I understand what the situation was and the strategy behind the trade. You needed to capitalize on 2024 because clearly that's not very common for that to happen, especially here in Washington. So you were trying to capitalize on that, and I respect that, but just didn't work out. You know, um, I guess if you're looking to blame somebody, it would be Adam Peters, but at the same time, Lattimore, Grady was injured, but man, he let the emotions get the better of him, and I guess shame on us for not realizing his personality wasn't the best, but still, I mean, it's easy to blame Adam Peters, but I still like the strategy going into that trade.
I do as well. I'm not going to criticize them for having made that trade just because it didn't work out. I know that's easy to do. And, for people who at the time, whoever those people were, who at the time said we should not be making this trade, hats off to you. You proved right. But listen, all of us are going to be wrong about things. We're gonna see a guy in free agency or in a trade that we're just like, yes, that's the guy, bring him on in. Or we're going to see a guy in the draft that we just love and, they don't work out. That's going to happen. So I'm not going to criticize that. But I am so glad that they're making this move. It had last year was bad. 25 was bad. And, there was just I kind of wish they'd made the move 2 or 3 weeks ago because wasn't it just last week they were saying they were kind of sort of thinking about it? And you and
Yeah.
I talked about on air, what is there to think about? Like we already told you back in November to be making this move that this was done, so maybe that was posturing, seeing if they could get a draft pick, who knows. But anyway, you and I expected this. It finally happened. And uh, it's tough to tell what's going to happen with people, right? When you trade or sign them to a lot of, a big deal. They're not machines. They're humans. And you never know when a guy just doesn't fit your place as good as he fit the last place, right? You never know when finally he's just not as hungry as he used to be. And that doesn't mean he's lazy. It just means he may not be putting in that extra sharp edge and aggression or tape study that he was before. And you just never know how a guy's feeling, right? A guy may just feel worse now than he did 2, 3, 4 years ago. So, these things happen. It was time to move on.
Yeah, so that's going to put us at currently second in cap space. I would imagine over the next day to 3 days, maybe even some deals done over the weekend that we're going to be re-signing some of our own guys. We have a
Right.
laundry list of them.
Right.
So that number is obviously going to go down. Um, at this point, based on the numbers that are probably going to be thrown out there, are you in favor of signing Chris Paul or re-signing Chris Paul?
Yes, and as a matter of fact, because you and I last week, and I encourage
Hmm.
everybody in the audience to go back and see the show. It didn't get as many views as it should have. We did a great job going man by man, line by line through like 60 guys. Okay. And I think I would, having crunched some numbers since then, I think I would even re-sign more guys than I mentioned last week, especially if we go ahead and let go of Deron Payne. I think the money is there to support it, and I don't think that that free agency is so amazing that we need to enter free agency with $60 million, right?
Right.
So I would encourage us to sign all of the modest contracts we can. That's basically, for the most part, contracts under $10 million. And a lot of those contracts really are less than $3 million, a season.
Hmm.
So I would encourage us, and Chris Paul, yes, is one of those guys. In my head, I'm thinking for him $5, $6 million. I'm not thinking 10. So that lets you know where my brain is at.
Yeah, the numbers that are being thrown out there are wide range, anywhere from 8 to 15.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, I'm not giving him a 3-year deal at, 10 each. I'm not doing that. 1 year less than 10, I'm probably in.
okay. So, running backs. You ready?
I'm ready, man. The most important spot in the NFL, the premium position.
So here I was talking to you about this before we recorded. There's a lot of talk about the guy on the right there, Jeremiah Love.
Yeah.
And we're going to get to the prospects here in a minute. But specifically, there's a lot of talk about this guy because he is going to be a real possibility at 7. I don't know that I'm in favor of taking him at 7. I don't know that he's this generational running back that's, I don't want to say deserving of the top 10 pick because that's subjective, but or I guess subjective. Um, Whichever. You know what I'm talking about. I don't know which one's which. It's been a long day. Um, I don't know that he's worth the seventh overall pick given our situation. If we were a running back away from contention, I'd be like, yeah, of course you pick him up. But we have so many other needs, so many other holes that need filled that I don't think that it warrants taking him there. Okay, if you trade back to like say 11 or 12, you pick up an extra third or even a second, and you filled most of your needs in free agency, like you spent like all your money on defense, sure, why not? Right? But I don't think that's necessarily going to be the plan or that's necessarily going to happen. So, it's hard for me to get on the train for Jordan Love. Is it going to be a bad pick? No. I don't know that's the most responsible pick, if that makes sense.
That's a great point. I'm huge on Jeremiah Love. Absolutely huge. Good gosh. I've got it. I don't remember exactly where on my big board. It's somewhere around 3 or 4, fifth, somewhere right in there. So to me, he's worth the hype and worth the talk. But if I were the Commanders, I would not draft him. You said it perfectly. We have so many other needs, and I'm not sure that our offensive line, who I like our offensive line. I'm not sure that it's truly capable of creating the holes and pushing people around in the run game to truly get the most out of a Jeremiah Love pick. So I personally would trade back, or I would just pick somebody else. I would not stick and pick Jeremiah Love if I were the Commanders at 7. And I'm on the high end of the spectrum of people who tell everyone, don't pass up a good football player. If you like him, I don't care if it's position of need or not. If you like the guy, you don't pass him up. This year, though, this Commanders team, we just don't need a high-end running back as desperately as we need defensive help or even another good wide receiver. So I'm going to be working in those two directions, and running back will fall farther down the list.
So another reason I say that is because of this list here. Okay. Now, there to me, none of these running backs on here are franchise changing, team altering running backs. Okay. We do have some that are highly productive, or have a lot of potential, or change your offense like to the point of, okay, we don't, we like the running backs that you can trust. Okay. Especially these top 5 guys over here on the left. Okay. I think they can act as a lead back at times. Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne, Tyler Algier. Now they have split carries. Pacheco, the same. They have split carries the majority of their career with other running backs. primarily, but I think they could take on a lead running back role. I'm not saying 25, 30 carries, but anywhere from 18 to 25 probably. 25 is on the high end up, my guess would be. But they can sort of take on a lead back role. They're not a Saquon Barkley, they're not a Christian McCaffrey, they're not not even a Breece Hall who got tagged recently. Okay. But they're serviceable backs. It does make your offense a little bit better, it makes it a little bit more explosive. Okay,
Yeah.
so I think that these are guys that are worth going after. I wouldn't say going after paying top dollar, especially since guys like Walker, Algier, even Pacheco have been splitting carries the majority of their careers. But still, I'd pay a little bit of money for them. Not going crazy, but I'd still pay a little bit for them.
Right.
Going back to the draft strategy real quick, I would rather do that, spend 6 to 8 million on one of these guys and get an edge if it's available at seven, instead of having to pay 20 to 30 million dollars for an edge in free agency and
Yeah.
then drafting a running back. It's Jeremiah Love at seven. That's You're going to be paying roughly the same here in a couple of years once his rookie contract starts, stepping up. You'll be paying roughly the same. So I think just fiscally, with the salary cap and then with your draft picks, it makes more sense to pick another skill position than running back. But about these guys, do you have any opinions on like strong feelings about any of these guys on the list here? Are there anyone? Is there any one guy here that makes more sense than the other to bring in? What's your overall feeling about these guys, and then the current running back room in general?
Yeah, currently, let's assume that we let Eckler go and we keep McNichols and we keep Rodriguez and we keep Krosky Merritt. It's not a horrible running back room, but it would skew way down probably to 27th, 28th most talented running back room in the NFL, right? I think we even said that last summer, heading into the season, basically. So no surprise there. But there's a chance here with, to me, three guys, maybe four, to upgrade the room. And that is, by that I mean, not only are we deeper and stronger, but we've raised the ceiling of what production we might get out of a running back room. Kenneth Walker, the age is right, man. Look at that, 25 years old. That's right. It's hard to get a free agent any younger than that. I mean, that's about as young as you can get free agents who didn't just get released from their teams because they sucked, right? It's hard to get a free agent younger than that. And then the money, if it's 9, 10, 11, probably more than I want to pay a running back under our current circumstances. But, a home run hitter, not the most efficient running back at all. I think everyone knows that, but definitely a home run hitter. And there are games where if you create the holes for him, he will run through them and still produce efficiently as well. Um, Tyler Algier is my favorite here. Absolute bowling ball, run you over, strong as ox, but has surprising amounts of speed too. I liked him coming out of BYU in the draft a few years ago. He'll be 26 roughly at the start of the season, right? So, you know, that's right in the sweet spot of free agency ages. I would love to bring in Tyler Algier, maybe sitting there at $5, $6 million possibly. Him, I would give a straight up 3 year deal to. I would have no trouble giving him a 3 year deal and guaranteeing two of it, if that's what it takes. And I wouldn't even mind pushing a little bit higher on that cap number if I needed to. That would be the guy for me. That would really he can do more than what Atlanta gave him opportunity to do. I'm not saying necessarily he's a bell cow, but he can do more. And then Travis Etienne, age 27, still a good number, age number wise for free agency, and certainly would vastly increase the athleticism and the speed in the running back room for us. So, that would be my third option. Rico Dowdle, still productive last year. I believe in my head, I think he got injured again last year, but was still very productive. Watching him run behind that Panthers offensive line at times last year, they were very effective at times. But again, 28 years old. I don't think I would want to add that to the Commanders, but Algier first, and then Etienne or Walker would be my guys.
Yeah, so if I had to rate the guys that I would be targeting first, look, I've loved Travis Etienne ever since he came out of Clemson.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I've loved Travis Etienne. Do I think I think his athleticism, um, and just the total package that he brings is great, but so far through his NFL career, it hasn't been consistent enough, and he's also
Right.
battled a lot of injuries. So I just don't
Yep.
think that he warrants a 3 year, huge money deal. For ETN, I would do more of a 2 year deal with, year and a half of a guaranteed, something like that, where you're going to, basically break even if you cut him after a year.
Right.
Um, so I love the whole package that ETN is. I just don't love anything else really about it. Just it just hasn't been consistent enough. I'm with you. Algier would probably be my top pick here outside of Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker, again, he hasn't been consistent enough. No, you can point to the playoffs and the Super Bowl, and that's fine. Great performances, not denying that whatsoever, because that's what he can be. But can he do that for 17 games by himself? I don't think so by himself. Split carries, with Bill or Rodriguez, I think so. Um, I wouldn't be mad about signing him at all. The money would have to make sense. But Walker, Algier, I would give it 3, maybe even 4 year deals. If the money's not totally crazy and you're not guaranteeing a ton of money either, just add as a pseudo
Yeah.
void year, if you want to call it, just funny money type deal to make the agent look good. You know, I wouldn't be mad at that because the thing with Walker and Algier is that they have split carriers for the majority of their NFL career. And what that does, and also given their age, is there's a lot less wear and tear on those two specifically than other running backs on this list. And I think that's huge because you're going to get ideally more production out of them, and they're going to last longer in the NFL. Running backs age very quickly here in the NFL. These guys that are splitting carries and splitting snaps with other guys, to me, that's just going to prolong their career a little bit more. So, giving a 3 or 4 year deal for these guys, to me, shouldn't be a problem, because they should still be productive going into that. If they went, all the way through their contract, they should be still productive in that fourth year.
Yeah. I agree. When you're grabbing a guy at age 25 or 26, I wouldn't mind tacking on the fourth year, especially since I know years 3 and 4 aren't guaranteed, not at these money levels. So, I can get out of it after 2 years by and large. So, boy, when you pick up free agents at the ages of 25 and 26 and they've already shown something, like they didn't just flash for 1 year, they've already consistently shown kind of who they are. That to me, free agency doesn't get any better than that, other than you having all pro levels of guys, which hardly ever hits free agency anymore.
So Rashad White has been a guy that's been connected to us ever since he was told that, Tampa wasn't going to bring him back or anything like
Yeah.
that. And, he's connected with Jaden and all this other stuff. I just don't know that I love him. I don't know how much he really raises the ceiling of our running back room. I mean, it does add talent. I'm not denying that, but I think he's also a running back that has battled consistency issues. Um, Now he's a do-it-all back. He can, run between tackles. He can run outside. He can catch passes at the backfield. He's more of one of the versatile backs that we have. I suppose you would look at him as more of a an Eckler replacement um, than anything. But again, I wouldn't pay him tons of money. I wouldn't give him a 4 year deal. Give him probably more of like a 2 year deal, maybe a 3 year deal with not obviously not having that guaranteed. Uh, I mean, I guess if it keeps Jaden happy, I guess it's fine, but I just don't really think he improves the room that much to where it's like, oh, yes, we need to go out and get this guy.
I'm in the same boat. It wouldn't bother me if they did go out and sign him, especially like you said, a 2 year deal. So he's 27. That's still right. 26, 27, you're still hanging on to the sweet spot there for age wise. So if I can catch him for 2 years, and if it truly is $3 million a season, I really would not want to add the third year for Rashad White. That's going to drag me into guaranteeing probably part of the second year. I don't like doing that for this situation. But I'm with you. I don't know that it upgrades the ceiling of our running back room very much at all. Like it's just not enough for me. If I'm going to pay money here at running back, I really would rather go after the Algier or the Walker or even the ETN. That's just where I'm at. Rashad White's numbers are always fine. He's always productive. That's really not the issue. And that's just kind of where I'm at. He does catch the ball a lot out of the backfield, so that's nice. You're looking at what, 50, basically 50 catches a season. Um, that you do have a flexible, athletic guy, but it's not going to move the needle very much in terms of running back ceiling.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. And really, none of the other running backs on this list. I mean, yeah, there's some guys on here that they do certain things well. They're they're okay guys. They can have games where they're highly productive, but nothing on here is screaming like, yes, we need to go get this guy. Again, I don't think any of these guys necessarily raise the ceiling, the talent ceiling of the room like an Algier, an Etienne, or a Walker would, even a Dowdle would. Um, so I mean, again, I'm not going to pay top money for these guys, but I think adding one of these top guys here on the left is sufficient activity for the running back room, addressing the running back room. As in, we don't need to address it in the draft necessarily. We don't need to sign another running back. Signing one of these guys along with re-signing Rodriguez and McNichols, that's going to be enough for me. I don't need much other activity. You want to bring in a couple of undrafted guys with high ceilings, that's fine. Let them come compete. But I think ultimately, if you get a Walker, an ETN, an Algier, I think you've done enough for that position, and it gives you another weapon on offense. Then I would much rather turn my attention to defense and then bring in a number two receiver in, or even another tight end.
I'm in the same boat. I mean, you look even like a guy like Sean Tucker, his teammate at Tampa Bay, who's going to be an RFA that you've got here on the right side of the list, about 60% of the way down. That's a guy that showed some things last year. That I liked him coming out of the draft as well, and he hadn't done much, but last year when he got his touches, he was taking advantage and was kind of his little specialty weapon there. But we're not a team that needs depth at running back. We already have that. We've already got baseline guys that do different little things, and they're not bad when they get on the field. We got three of those guys. So either give me a guy that really boosts the room, like an Algier or a Walker, or let's just go draft a guy or take an undrafted free agent, like you said, and let's call it a day. If we were truly bereft of talent, let's say we had nobody at running back, the room had just been turned into tatters, we had nothing but beat up older guys, then I would be happy to start, kind of picking the bottom of the barrel here and grabbing guys at $1 and $2 million. But we have those guys. We don't need that. Matter of fact, our guys are younger than the guys on this list, on average. So, we don't necessarily need to, other than letting go of Eckler, we don't need to change the room. We just need to add another talented piece somehow.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. I mean, it's okay if you get rid of McNichols, you're going to sign another guy that's just like him, maybe a little younger, maybe slightly cheaper, but you're going to be getting relatively the same production. And why mess with what the guy already knows, the guys he's already comfortable with? It just doesn't make
Yeah.
sense to replace him with around the same production, around the same talent level, probably around the same age. I mean, it's just don't really make much sense now. If we're pinching pennies here. It's like, okay, yeah, we can replace McNichols instead of giving them, vet minimum deals. We can give them, we can get an undrafted guy to do the same thing. It's like, okay, yeah, that's fair, I guess, or a late round pick to do that. Yeah, again, that's fair, I suppose. But I mean, I don't think we're in that position to where we need to be pinching pennies that much.
I'm in the same boat. There's a lot of other places. And listen, we had to look at running back, and I'm glad we did because I would be thrilled if we added Algier, especially at the price tag that we're kind of looking at there, if that were to actually happen. You never know. You never know when the market's going to drive up. Basically, all these agents and all these players know about what they're going to get in free agency, but you never know when one or two of these guys, there's just enough teams that need that, and there's not many guys who feel that, the phone starts ringing, right?
Hmm.
And the more the phone starts ringing, the price is going up. So you never know for sure which guys are going to take off and get maybe twice as much as what projections were. But at roughly these numbers, I would be thrilled to try to pick up Tyler Algier myself.
Yeah, I mean, even if you had to go to 7 or 8, I'd be fine with that
Yeah,
for Algier.
yeah.
Walker, I'm fine overpaying a little bit, but again, I'm not going to go crazy on these guys or crazy guarantees either. I mean, again, ideally, they're splitting carries with somebody. Um, like I said, none of these guys on this list here are guys you're going to give the ball to 25, 30 times a game. Um, it one, we just don't play like that anymore. Even in this David Blau offense that's going to be focused on running the ball more play action. Um, but that's just not the play style anymore. But even if it was, these guys wouldn't be doing it. They'd be splitting it with somebody else. So, and we have the guys to do it. It'd be one thing if we don't have the guys to do it, but we do. So, anything else on these veteran free agents?
No, and I didn't spend as much time on most of this list because, again, who we've got. If your team out there and you're kind of looking to fill your running back room with decent guys that can kind of bridge you over for a season or two, there are plenty of guys here who can still do it. I'm not suggesting they're not. Anybody from Kareem Hunt to Miles Sanders, looking over here on the right hand side. Um, it starts to get pretty thin on the right hand side there. Sean Tucker's interesting if they let him go, but you know, uh, there are guys here that can produce something, just not what the Commanders need for the most part here.
All right. Tell me about some of these prospects here. So I've heard some comments, some conversations that Jeremiah Love is arguably the best prospect in this draft. Do you
Yeah.
agree with that premise?
Yeah, I don't have any problem with anybody who has him as the number one prospect. He is that good, especially in a draft like this where it's not star-studded at the top, not quite as typically rich at the top. I don't currently have him number one on my board, but I've got him somewhere around 3 or 4. I can't remember exactly. I didn't look at the board again tonight. He's worth it. I'm not one of those people who says don't draft running backs in the first round and don't draft them in the top 5 or 10. I'm just not one of those people. Most years, there's not a guy that good who needs to be drafted that high at running back, but this is one of the years where there is a guy that good. Jeremiah Love. Man, you know, I've got about 200 words worth of notes here on Jeremiah Love, and they're almost all good. He looks fast on the field. He turned out a good 40 time at the combine. He's got the good size that you like. He looks so smooth. That's one of the things that I don't think enough people are saying about him. But I watched a lot of tape on him, he is so unbelievably silky smooth. Um, there just aren't many running backs that look smooth like that. And yet he's physical. He has no problem breaking tackles, keeping his leg moving. He cuts well. That's important. He cuts well. Uh, you know, he catches the ball well, not just for a running back, but he can actually move out there into the slot areas and run a couple of legit routes and catch the ball that way. So he's ever bit worth taking in the top 10 if you're a team that needs or wants that, but not everybody does, and I don't think the Commanders should be looking in that direction.
Yeah, again, am I going to be terribly upset if they spend the seventh overall pick on him? No, because of the impact that he can make. I just don't think it's the best route to go. Now, and it's very possible, we'll just say, all the defensive guys are gone. Sonny Styles is gone, Ruben Bain's gone, David Bailey's gone, and then you have your pick of, Jeremiah Love, Caleb Downs, and then kind of everybody. Overall, Reese is gone, Um, it's Caleb Downs, Jeremiah Love. I'd still lean Caleb Downs personally, um, or try to trade back. But if you don't have a trade partner, then those are kind of your options. Again, I'm leaning Caleb Downs in that scenario, but if Jeremiah Love is so far and above Caleb Downs on your board, then you can't just select purely out of need. It's got to make sense. You got to be like, well, we passed up this guy. Well, even though he's so much better than the next guy, um, but you know,
At a certain point, need has to kick in. And I could wax poetic on Jeremiah Love for a long time. I didn't mention his vision. His vision is outstanding. He always seems, not always, he usually seems to be able to pick the right hole. It does a beautiful job of that. He's got an extra gear. Like it's not just straight line speed, which he has, but he has the ability to kick it into an extra gear once he's, kind of out into the open. And you'll see him turn touchdowns, 60-yard touchdowns, just because he broke through and boom, he's gone. He's got that. He's athletic. He can hurdle people. There's a couple of different pieces of him jumping over people, And so you talk about a guy that has it all. I don't have him, just for perspective. I don't have him quite as highly rated as Bijan Robinson a few years ago. I've got him really close to Ashton Jonty, who was just, a little bit behind Bijan Robinson for me. But those are the kind of guys we're talking about. They don't come out every year. We kind of happen to have two of them coming out on back-to-back years with Jonty and Love. On average, these guys come out about once every 3 years, right? At the running back spot. Saquon Barkley was another guy, right? So that's what, four guys in, I guess, 7 years, maybe, if I'm doing my math right.
yeah.
I guess that's really more every 2 years. But this is one of those guys, and again, if you have a bad offensive line, you shouldn't be looking at Jeremiah Love. He can't conquer that. But if you've got a pretty good offensive line, especially one that's tough and loves to just bang on people and loves to run block, this guy's one of those force multipliers that everybody talks about, and he'll contribute in the passing game.
So say that there's a defensive player there, we take him at 7.
Yeah.
Okay. Are any of these next 4 or 5 guys, or any of these guys going to be available at pick 71?
I think yes. I think most of them will be available at pick 71. I figure after Jeremiah Love goes off the board, I figure it's a long time till the next running back gets taken.
Interesting.
Now, Emmett Johnson probably has the funnest tape to watch out of these guys. Guy out of Nebraska, you talk about high production. I mean, the numbers are kind of laughable in some ways. The numbers he put up, I forget exactly. Was it 1,500 yards rushing and maybe another 300 to 400 catching the ball? Uh, Very, very good production. Smaller guy, you see the body weight there and the size, not bad weight height, but smaller. The He's tough to bring down. He's tough to tackle. But dang it, he's shifty as all get out, cut back, forth, up, down, almost like and then once he's got his hole, man, he's gone. He scoots. He don't waste no time at that point once he has his hole. So that's a really fun guy to watch there. Emmett Johnson from Nebraska doesn't get talked about very much. I'm not exactly sure why, but really, really fun tape to watch if you want the tape. That's the tape right there.
Can you tell me anything about the two Penn State guys?
Yeah, the Penn State the Penn State guys were interesting. If you had gone back to summertime, which is when I got to be able to start watching these guys,
Hmm.
they were back basically 2 and 3 on everybody's boards. I mean, everybody's behind Jeremiah Love. So we got Jeremiah Love, Nick Singleton, Katron Allen. And then the season started and these guys just plummeted and never got back up again. I'm surprised they're still sitting here at this spot. Singleton is the more talented guy, okay? Has never quite fully lived up to it, even coming out of high school. Super, super talented. Has the size, has the burst, has the speed, has everything you want, and that's never truly shown up. But the 24 tape is good. You go back and you watch the 2024 tape from Penn State, that's where you see his best stuff. 25 just wasn't as good. Katron Allen tends, I say tends to be more of the short yardage, tougher, more physical style of back, but there's a lot of overlap between Singleton and Allen. You could do a whole lot worse than these two guys when it comes to, say, a third round draft pick, and you're looking to give yourself a chance. More likely fourth round, I'm thinking, but yeah, both of those guys, if you're looking to add to the room, they've got the physical. These are NFL sized guys, and they've also got some talent there too.
So who do you think, if we don't sign any of these free agents we talked about earlier, um, and we're wanting to, Adam Peters and company, they're still wanting to upgrade the room. David Blau is going to follow more of the Ben Johnson style offense. That's kind of the vibe we're getting. We obviously won't know until games are starting to be played, but if we anticipate it's going to be at a hybrid of, Kevin O'Connell, Ben Johnson, kind of that zone uh running game, which of these running backs on here, excluding Jeremiah Love, fits that the best?
Honestly, it might be Jonah Coleman, who I haven't mentioned yet. He's only 5'8", but he's 220. So the 220 doesn't jump out until you realize he's shorter than most of these guys, right? Most of these running backs are anywhere from 5'10" to 5'11", so he's 2 inches shorter, and yet he weighs more than just about all of them. So you're looking at a big upper body kind of guy, built, muscular. This is, your gym guy. Kind of bounces off of people. I don't say he doesn't exactly always run over people. This isn't a modern day Campbell kind of guy, but he does bounce off of people. Very hard to tackle, and he really prefers to kick it outside. So if you were looking for a guy who wanted to run to the outside, he can run up the middle. You'll see it. He really prefers to cut and shift outside the tackles. That's his preferred method. The 4.50 speed there, that's legit. He doesn't have the top end, but he bursts and accelerates through the hole very quickly. Once he spots his hole, he scoots through very fast. You can catch he can pick up 25, 30 yards in the blink of an eye. He's just not going to outrun everybody for a touchdown at 40, 50, 60 yards. But that would be a good player right there to to run some outside zone with.
Excluding Love, who's the most explosive guy on this list?
To me, it's Emmett Johnson. As far as watching the tape, Emmett Johnson's the most explosive guy, and I think he may be close to Jeremiah Love in terms of just pure explosiveness. Not as good, but close. So Emmett Johnson would be the guy for me. But now I will say, if you're looking for guys with high RAS scores and great 40 times, they're actually down at the 7-8 spot. Mike Washington from Arkansas and Damon Claiborne from Wake Forest. Their tape is fine. Washington's is better, but dang it, boy, they showed out at the NFL Combine. Bursting out of there. What I think 4.33 for Mike Washington and the 4.37 for Claiborne. They were they were they were picking them up and putting them down. So if you like that potential right there, I'm hearing people talk about second round for Mike Washington. If that's the case, you're going to have to really love that combine performance he put on. So I don't see myself picking him up second round, but third, fourth round, that would be where I would want him. Anytime you introduce that kind of speed and the tape is okay, it certainly gives you a chance for explosion.
Okay, do you have anything else, or is there any running back on here that's not been mentioned? Anything else on the prospects before we move on?
Yeah, Jadarian Price, which is Jeremiah Love's backup, his alter ego, if you will. Probably one of the more polarizing running backs up here, I'm guessing. The combine was not great for Jadarian Price, but the film's pretty good. But the film's a little inconsistent. There are days where Jadarian Price is going up there against Big Ten defenses and looks very good. I mean, he's producing. I mean, he's banging out chunk plays, looks really good. And then just other games and days where he didn't. So the film was inconsistent, and the combine did not help him, I don't think. But that's a guy right there that if you're looking to give carries to in the future, he can certainly carry a certain part of the load and produce. That would be the last guy there that I more than likely Price is slipping down the boards a little bit, but not too far.
Okay. I mean, it seems like overall a decent running back group. It's just not nearly as deep as years past,
Right.
right?
Yes, totally correct. It's a decent running back room. There's plenty of guys to be had all up and down the draft, but there's one guy, probably top 10, top 15, top 20, probably not another guy until pick 55, 60, and then you may see several of them come off the board there.
So, movie magic time. We just jumped right into a mock draft that I hit start on before I hit record. So, here we go. We're in the midst of draft day right now. And we already have a trade. So basically, who's off the board? I can't see it. Actually, hold on. I can view those later. So Mendoza, David Bailey, Carnell Tate. I doubt that's going to happen. But Arvell Reese, Caleb Downs, Sonny Styles, those are all off the board. So some interesting names still on the board for us. Um, we were just talking about Sonny Styles. I don't know if he's going to go. I think if he was going to go top seven. I think he was going to go anyways. I don't know that the combine really changed much opinions. I think it more or less solidified them. Um, and then, like I said, Tate, I don't know, especially with the 4.5 40. I just don't really know that that's the pick there at three, but I digress. So we got Bain, we got Love, we got Tyson, we got tons of offensive linemen. We have Delane, who apparently interviewed very well. We interviewed him. We haven't talked a lot about Kedrick Falk. He seems to be maybe a guy that we consider if we traded back. And where was that trade offer? We could pick up 9 and 40. I don't know how realistic that is, but it is an option.
You and I, this is our fourth mock now. We haven't traded back yet. So I think we need to go ahead and do a trade back. If we were just going to stick and pick, I would want Ruben Bain, and I would call it a day right there. But I'd love for us to explore the options of trading back and then maybe trading back again, considering we're so bereft on draft picks and we have so many defensive needs. But I'll let you talk about that or do it whichever way you want to do it.
I think based on who's on the board right now, unless you are totally in love with Love or Ruben Bain, I think that if you can, I don't think that getting 41 is realistic, but I think if one of those two guys are still going to be there at 9, if you're confident one of those two guys is still going to be there, then I would trade back. So in this scenario, I would accept that trade.
All right, let's go ahead and do it. And then I've run, I don't know, 40 or 50 commanders mocks so far. And I love the idea of trading back twice in this draft.
I do too. Yeah.
This particular draft just sets itself up for that. Now, I'm not, that trade offer we just got from the 49ers, I don't think is realistic, right?
Not at
That's too
all.
much. 20, yeah, 27, 58, 92, a 27 second, 27 fifth. Maybe the next two offers are more realistic for what we want to try to talk about.
So we got 27 available. We got 26 available. That one seems like a slightly better trade, even though it's not as many picks. It seems maybe a little bit better. Well, I don't know. We get in a following second there. Um, that one's not bad. That one's really not that bad either. Um, man, I don't know. It wouldn't be bad. So let's get your overall take on the draft in general. I've
Okay.
heard people say there's only a handful of what they would call first round picks
Right.
this year. Um, I've heard anywhere from 10 to 15 to 20. Okay.
hmm
Where do you kind of fall in that?
I'm somewhere around 18 to 20 is how many I basically have a first round grade on.
Okay. So basically, if we take one of these trades and we're trading quote unquote out of the first round.
Correct. For my money's worth, yes.
Right. So in your, Ben's uh Ben as the GM with the GM hat on, are you more willing at this point to stick and pick, or are you going to want to trade back with one of those teams?
I'd want to trade back. And again, I tell people all the time not to do this. Like, there's nothing cute or sexy about trading back. This team this year, this Commanders team, just kind of needs it. Man, we need an infusion here. We're old. We have a lot of roster holes, and we're struggling with depth. But even our starters aren't consistently good in a lot of these defensive spots, right? So for all of those reasons, man, I would love to infuse some young talent here on this particular season.
Okay, so which offer do you feel like is the best here?
The 49ers to me would be, but I feel like it's not realistic. I just don't think that would happen. I don't think they would offer all that.
I feel like
That
this one's probably the most realistic if we're going based off of that.
I agree, because in order to move back from 9 all the way back to 28, catching a second round pick would be fair. I'm not sure about that 27 second round pick being fair, but it's not going to affect this year's draft. Let's say we pick up a third or a fourth, right, in our own
Hmm.
imaginary brains. But yeah, I
Right.
think that's a fair deal.
Okay, so we trade back to 28 with Houston. And for what it's worth, if we stuck there, I would have personally picked Mansour Delane at LSU, the corner
Yeah,
there. I would have
yeah.
picked that. I think you would have too.
I would have loved Mansour Delane. So yeah, again, if it's Ruben Bain at 7, I'm totally happy. If it's Mansour Delane at wherever that 9 spot was, I'm happy there too. Do you mind clicking on the My Picks area and just letting the audience kind of see where we're at now in terms of what we're able to do? We got 28, 38, 40, and then we
Changes a
just have,
lot.
yeah, we have 7 overall picks now.
Yep.
And even if the second round pick in 27 isn't realistic, we probably could have added a third or a fourth to our 27, a
Mhm.
bundle of picks, right?
Yeah, and honestly, at this point, unless you're in love with whoever's at 38, 40, there's a big gap. There's a 106 pick gap there. I would consider trading back, not way down, but trading back one of these picks here to get more in the middle rounds.
I don't mind sticking and picking at those 3 spots because I do feel like
That's fair.
once you get outside of probably around pick 60, maybe it does fall off. But I have no problem trading away, that 38, what was it, 38 or 40, 38 or 40
Yeah.
to move back. But I think we're up for a pick now, right?
Yes, sir. And based on the guys that are available, the names that are jumping out to me are Cassius Howell and Dylan Thieneman.
Yeah, listen, I'm with you on Cassius Howell. I don't personally have Thieneman this high, but I do like Thieneman. Okay, so Cassius Howell to me is a guy who has limitations. I don't think getting to the quarterback is one of those limitations. I think this guy is very good at stressing the quarterback nonstop, all the time, every play. I think he's very good at it. I would be very, very happy to get him right here. Now, Emmanuel McNeil Warren at safety. I know it's not a big of a need, so I'm not recommending we take him over that edger. That's a guy that people are just going to love watching. I mean, dang it, that the tape on that guy is really fun. Will you check real quick on the edges and just see what else is there in terms of
Yeah,
edge
sure.
rushers?
Yeah, let's take a look there. We got Cassius Howell, Zion Young, Mason Thomas, Gabe Jackus. I don't know, but
Yeah, so
probably these three guys at this point.
yeah, for me it's Cassius Howell. I know people. Zion Young is a real crowd splitter. A lot of people very high on him. A lot of other people not. I'm not, but he probably will go top 45. R. Mason Thomas is a guy that knows how to get to the quarterback as well. R. Mason Thomas is stronger than Cassius Howell and can stay on the field and produce on more downs than Cassius Howell. But Cassius Howell is the guy that can get to the quarterback more often, get home to the quarterback more often, stress the quarterback more often. I'm totally thrilled to pick up Cassius Howell here.
As am I, so I'm going to go ahead and draft him there. So, I mean, obviously, if we were offered that, I think I would take that, or that. But let's see who's available. Caleb Banks is still available from Florida. I know we've talked about him previously in previous mocks that we wouldn't
Yes.
mind him.
Yes.
Especially if, I mean, man, this dude's huge. Uh, it really depends on what I mean, you got Johnny Newton, you got Javon Kinlaw. Those are the two guys that this regime brought in
Yeah.
to, I think, be long-term solutions. And then you have Deron Payne, obviously, who's in the last year of his deal, probably not coming back after this season if he lasts this season. Um, so I mean, you got to have somebody. I don't think Newton or Kinlaw are the answers long term. So maybe this guy Caleb Banks could be that. Again, I don't know if it's the. I don't think it's the highest priority right now, but still a consideration.
Caleb Banks has top 10 potential, and it's all over the 2024 tape. Goodness gracious. He can crush a pocket, he can push a pocket, he can beat one blocker to get to the quarterback, but there have been some fairly significant effort and consistency questions that pop up. And even more importantly, the injury issues, which he's come back and played from, but we haven't yet seen him show dominance since. That alone is enough to make me want to move on from him for now. But the main reason for that is there's a guy sitting here, KC Concepcion, wide receiver out of Texas A&M. I figure KC Concepcion might be a top 20 draft pick before it's said and done this year, but certainly he's sitting here at 38. I really like this guy. He plays bigger than he really is, and I don't mean he high points the ball necessarily. He does have a good vertical jump, but the speed is good. The physicality is what really stands out to me, in addition to all the speed and the vertical jump. So he plays bigger than 5'11". A lot of guys in this draft are 5'11" or 5'10", and that's what they look like. They look like Mighty Mouse running around. Concepcion does not. You know, he seems to have all the physical tools. That would be the pick I would probably make. We can search any position group you want to, though, and see what else is out there.
Well, we've got two basically picks back to back.
Right.
I know we've talked about Anthony Hill before. I know
Yes.
I mean, very productive. It looks like here, and definitely a position of need if Bobby Wagner's not brought back. Um, so my thought is based on what you're saying, um, is either Banks and Concepcion and then probably Anthony Hill.
Yeah, I agree. And I think based on you already mentioned maybe trading pick 40. I think we take if I were voting, I think I would take Concepcion at 38 and then I would explore our trade offers at 40 in tonight's scenario.
Okay. Got Kansas City with, I mean, I feel like that's completely unrealistic.
A second and a third does not sound correct to me.
This is probably the most realistic, is what I would guess. It's just a pick down, but we're also picking up 110, which kind
Yeah,
of bridges that gap. So probably not a
right,
bad
right.
a bad idea. Did you want to do
I
that?
yeah, I think I'm good with that one. It's not unrealistic if they had a guy they wanted to pick. So
Okay, and it's asking for more trades, but that's the only one offered, and
right,
it's
Cleveland really wants our 41st
they
pick.
really do. So, and then, of course they took Anthony Hill,
Of course they did. Yes.
but Caleb Banks is still available there. Let's look. We already picked up receiver. Any opinions on AJ Halsey?
Halsey's athletic and the size is fantastic. I'm just not sure that he's got the I I'm just not sure that he's got all the football IQ that I would really want, and I'm also not sure that he's got the range I would really want. So the athleticism is there, the physicality is there. You always expect that from the LSU people. I would be fine with him. I'm just not really high on him here.
Okay. So I'm just looking through. What about
All right.
Galday?
Yeah, okay, look, Golday and Rodriguez, two very different guys, two unbelievably very different guys. If you want a real man, absolute he-man walking around, Jake Golday is the guy, okay? Did well at the combine, but I loved him before then. Plays well in space, can pass cover, can run stop, can hit. I'm not sure he'll do much in terms of blitzing the quarterback, but boy, this guy should be on the field all the time. Smart as heck. This guy You would really like this guy. Jacob Rodriguez. A lot of people out of Texas Tech absolutely love this guy. I have questions about his ability to stay in front of running backs of any NFL speed. I thought that was a real problem for him, but a lot of people love Rodriguez's ability to work in a box in pass coverage, make tons of tackles, and smart as all get out.
Yeah, based on what you said, I think I'd probably lean more Galde, and there's just really nothing else of other, unless we went Banks.
Right.
Um, there's not
Yeah.
really much else here of need, unless you have an opinion on Chris Johnson that's stronger than Galde or Caleb Banks.
Well, Chris Johnson, I love too. Chris Johnson's a guy who can get after it in terms of pass coverage. Very physical, very aggressive. Can get beat deep, but tends to make up for it too. Tends to work himself back in. If you want an aggressive guy, Chris Johnson's the guy, man. Not afraid of anything. Not the greatest one-on-one cover. You're not always going to be able to just stick him on an island. He's going to have to mix his zones with his man, but he's perfectly capable of that. Not necessarily, him and Golday probably pretty close for me.
So who would you lean towards then?
Yeah, if you don't mind, let's do a little bit of quick shopping here. Remind me of our picks again. I believe we picked up Concepcion and Cassius Howell, right?
Yep.
Yep. And then on offense, just do a quick check at tight end. I don't think I'm going to care about any of the tight ends there. Stowers is fine. Trigg is fine. Running back, do a quick check there just for conversation piece. Emmett Johnson, Jonah Coleman, both fine. Okay, and then back to defense. We mentioned the cornerback. Oh, defensive tackle. Yeah, that's the one other thing. Caleb Banks has way better ability to get to quarterback than Lee Hunter or Kristen Miller. It's not even close. But man, I think I'd rather have Chris Johnson, and then I think even more than that, I'd rather have Jake Golday.
Okay. So let's go Jake Galde then because it's a position of need, definitely.
Definitely.
And then we're gonna wait until
I think
110.
I don't mean to overhype Golday, right? Because he's got limitations. Everybody
Right.
does.
Right.
That to me is a guy that would be starting day one, and as long as you were willing to pay him his second and third contracts, could start for you for 10 years. I That's how I view him.
Okay. So this is what we got here. We got Mike Washington here at 110. We got Singleton at 110.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
we got Massis, who I know we've talked about before.
we have.
Um, we haven't really been in this area many times before though.
Right.
So who do we want to go look at?
For me, it's easier to position shop. So, if you will, running back first, real quick. You already mentioned a couple. So Washington, super fast, decent tape. Singleton, good solid NFL things there. So we could go running back, but I'm not thrilled with it. Wide receiver, if we wanted to go that, Bryce Lance is worth the pick right here. We know that Washington likes RAS score guys. Bryce Lance, top RAS score. I mean, excellent RAS score. So that would be right up their alley. Uh, Looks like he belongs out there. This guy I don't think would be your number one, but maybe a future number two. So if we were going to go wide receiver, it would be him. Tight end, not interested at this level.
Oh, gotta look at center.
Yes. Oh yeah. You know what? I actually forgot about center. Dadgummit. Maybe I might should have done that back at the last pick. But anyway, here we are. Parker Brailsford got the talent. Logan Jones has the technique. That's basically how that works. So, if you want the more talented guy, that's Brailsford. But if you want the more technique guy, tough, reliable, that's Logan Jones. So if we want to go center, that's sitting right there.
Nothing about Brian Parker.
Parker is fine too. I just wasn't thrilled with it. He holds up. I just wasn't thrilled. So that's kind of where I'm at on Parker.
Based on what you said, I think in past mocks, you like these two better. At least you're more vocal about these two than these two.
Foster, yes, but only considering that we could get him in the fifth round. I don't like Foster better than the other guys, but I I always try to avoid the word value. Oh my gosh, I try to avoid that word. But for value, a center in the fifth round that I still like, I think would be better. And then on
Okay.
defense, yeah, if you don't mind,
Sure.
let's rock the defense a little bit. Let's just run through all the positions real quick. Edge, um, physical guys there, nothing big ceiling. Defensive tackle, Dante Corleone and Rayshon Benny. If you want big guys that are run stuffers, these are the guys. Benny might occasionally get a little bit of pressure on the quarterback, so that's good. But if you want space eaters, then Benny and Corleone. Of course, they're going to be super cheap, so those would be two guys right there.
And then even though I think we already addressed corner, right? No, we didn't yet. We did
We
not
didn't
address
pull up a
corner.
corner yet. I tell you
No.
what, Hezekiah Massis will be hard to beat here. Good, solid. I don't know that he has a high end, but just good, solid defensive back there.
Especially if it's not addressed in free agency.
Right.
I think that that would probably be my lean here if you're high on him.
If we
That
were
would
going to go
probably be my
need, we'd be
lean.
looking at Massis. Yes.
Okay. All right. Then I am in favor of drafting him there.
All right. Sounds good.
So it's very defensive heavy, which is necessary, and we've hit all three levels.
I'm
So,
telling you, I think you're gonna, as much as we need the other guys, I think you would love grabbing Concepcion and adding him to the wide receiver room.
all right. So still have some options here. We still have Benny here.
Yeah, Benny's probably the way to go. If you don't mind, let's not position shop this time. Let's just scroll down maybe another 8 levels here. I'm looking maybe another 8.
Which is on Striblin there. We liked him before.
Yes, I do like Stribling, maybe not quite this high. He
Eric
was a lot lower
Rivers,
before. Yeah, you know what? I think for my money, the guy I mentioned back up there at the top, which was
Benny.
where is he? Rayshon Benny, defensive tackle from Michigan. Again, more of a space eater, not a top end guy. I don't mean to confuse that at all, but at least would be a rotational defensive tackle and maybe could start at some point.
Right.
We're into the 6th round here, so don't everybody in the audience keep your expectations low. But you can see the trades we've made tonight, right?
Yep.
How much more it produces for us to work with.
Yep. And picked up an extra second next year, so
Right,
definitely not bad.
right.
Um, so four defensive guys, one offensive guy.
Yeah, yes.
So maybe we look at running back by chance. Anyone at 187? Anyone here that we're liking?
Le'Veon Moss would be the guy at running back. Not not thrilling, but for this pick level, still NFL caliber stuff there.
Okay. So that's him there. And we do need a backup quarterback if Mario doesn't get re-signed. Do we like
Okay,
anyone here?
well, the hot trending name right now is Cole Payton. Just kind of came out of nowhere, uh, out of North Dakota State. People are talking about him right now as being a guy that they would envision as being part of special packages, right? As being a,
Hmm.
kind of a hybrid kind of a guy, not ready to start or play any significant quarterback at the NFL level, just kind of part of special packages. But if you're actually looking for a thrower of the football, I don't know that, yeah, right there, the Taysom Hill-esque stuff. I don't know that Peyton is the way to go.
Okay.
If you're wanting the smart, again, most of the big armed guys have already gone here, any kind of big armed guys. But what do we got here? We're at offense. Oh, yeah, you know what? Before he's gone, this probably would be the place to pick up Bryce Foster. I don't know that he's ready to start. We may have to we may have to have a bridge center in free agency, right? But
Hmm.
Bryce Foster for me would be the guy. Some people like Brockermeyer better.
Okay. Anyone else from that's more worthy to pick on the top available?
All right, maybe go to 194 through the next group.
Yep. That's where
Okay.
we're at.
And then maybe show me the next 8 right there really quickly. All right, tell you what, pick 194, literally. Kyle Lewis out of Pittsburgh, playmaker, not a big guy, but the speed is there, and
Hmm.
playmaker seems to be around the ball a lot, makes a lot of tackles. Um, will handle run support, will not dominate it. will help in pass support, will not dominate it, can occasionally blitz the quarterback, but again, we're what, sixth round now, so
Hmm.
again, managing expectations here. That would be a worthy pick too. Um, I don't remember who we settled on earlier. That was probably our best look here though.
Kyle Lewis, Le'Veon Moss, and then you said Bryce Foster between those three guys here
Yeah,
at
yeah, right, right.
187.
I think I would go Bryce Foster unless you want to go with Brockermeyer out of Miami at center. Brockermeyer might actually offer a little higher ceiling than what Bryce Foster could offer, just to be honest about it. But either way, we would be fine at center.
Are either one day one starters?
I don't think so. I really kind of would be surprised if either one could beat even a journeyman center day one for that starting center spot. But it wouldn't surprise me late in the first season or at the start of the second season if they couldn't beat a journeyman center.
All right. Okay. So at 198, still have Kyle Lewis available, still have Cole Payton available, Sean Singleton available, still Le'Veon Moss. Um,
Yeah, I'm going to introduce another name here that I haven't done my tape work on yet, full disclosure, but it's that Jalen Husky right there out of Maryland. He's a safety. Our good compatriot from both the Box Score Network and from Pro Football Enterprises, Austin Freed, has done the tape work on him, and he said he loves the attitude, the hitting, and the range. So if you want somebody who's always looking to come downhill and hit and has a lot of range, then that would be the guy. Cover skills, not great, and not always going to be able to kind of you know, captain the secondary, but in terms of boy getting after it aggressively, you know, if you're looking to infuse some attitude there at safety, and I would be interested in doing that, then Husky from Maryland would certainly be um, a good chance there at round six.
okay. So who are we leaning towards here?
Yeah, I think I like the Husky, and I say that without having watched too much of the film. I haven't deep studied on him, but Husky from Maryland, I think would be my pick.
Man, this is when we said we were attacking defense, we were not kidding.
And
One,
that's just kind of
two,
what's
three,
been there.
four,
I
five out of
really wanted
seven.
some other people to be there, but they just weren't.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right. So at 222, uh, some of the same guys still out here, but
Let
haven't
let
picked a
me
tight
ask
end
you
yet.
then right
But
now, position group wise, what are you wanting to hit or, some trait that we haven't hit yet?
um, really, I actually like the heavy defense that we're on. Uh, we can't fill every hole, but obviously we need if Mariota is not back, we need a backup quarterback or at
Right.
least a developmental guy. I don't know that any of these guys are that. Um, we didn't add a running back. If that's not addressed in free agency, we're going to need to do that. Um, tight end we haven't addressed. Um, you know, I think our offensive line is fine for now, but obviously we're not opposed to um, you know, growing the pipeline eventually. Obviously, I think we've said before that that's not priority right now, but eventually some sort of pipeline with the offensive line. Uh, Kicker. I mean, we don't have a kicker yet. Uh, but yeah, I mean those are kind of the the positions that I'd be looking for. Probably running back or tight end would probably be my top priority at the current moment in time.
I'm not thrilled with what's there at running back, so I'm not going to recommend any of them for right now. But at tight end, I'll start there. I'll just lay out some different options. But at tight end,
Oh, yeah, right. Sorry.
Jake Villari out of Syracuse, or sorry, Dan Villari. Um, the Again, I'm not saying this guy should be picked in the fourth round, but for this level, that's an interesting guy to try to add right there. Don't think a day one starter, but certainly pipelining a guy that would be worth thinking about. I'm not thrilled with the running backs at this point. We've only picked up one wide receiver. Do you mind looking at the wide receivers again? I don't think the guys are there that I want to be there. If you like RAS score guys, and Washington seems to, Jeff Caldwell out of Cincinnati. I believe he's 6'4" or 6'5".
6'5",
Yeah,
208.
6'5". But again, that seems fairly similar to me to McCaffrey already. So I hesitated to bring him in. On the defensive side, I believe I still saw one guy sitting over there that's very much worth a pick. See if I can find him. Oh yeah, yeah. Again, RAS score, Caleb Elarms or linebacker out of Texas Christian. He's got the size, but really had a good combine as well. And the tape is fine out of Texas Christian. It's not great, but it's fine. Again, we're what, sixth or seventh round at this point. So
Hmm.
those would be the guys. Caleb Elarms or linebacker out of Texas Christian, or the tight end Dan Villari out of Syracuse would probably be. Oh, I know the other guy, quarterback, backup quarterback, Baron Morton out of Texas Tech. Not a big arm, but decent. Very smart. The process and all seems to be there. If you're looking for a developmental guy who might could step in and be the game manager, Brock Purdy-ish type of guy, Baron Morton would be the guy there.
So, of all the guys that we've talked about, who are you most leaning towards at this point?
Let's go ahead and at some point we need to do a little bit more offense, right? So tight
Hmm.
end, I think I would like to take my chances at Dan Villari there out of Syracuse.
Yeah, I'm based on your analysis of all the guys, I think I like him, your analysis of this guy the most.
I
And
I love taking chances
yeah,
with guys in round 6 and 7. Why not, right? Maybe you're already not likely to hit on these guys, but if you're gonna hit, wouldn't you like to hit on a guy that's got, a higher ceiling? So,
I mean, that addresses most of the needs. Now, obviously, not all these guys are going to pan out, but
right, right.
you're adding guys to positions of need, and that more than anything, I think is the important. And we're adding talent just overall. Um, positions that are kind of, especially at edge linebacker currently, uh, those are positions that are sorely lacking in talent. And added a corner and a safety in the secondary. Honestly, it's defensive heavy, but that's what we need. So at least at the current moment in time, see how free agency goes. But this is the last mock draft prior to free agency, so this is it until we get a more of a clear picture.
I'm looking forward because all front offices think different, and we think different than all front offices. So, excuse me, I'll be looking forward to seeing what the Commanders pull off in free agency. And it will always change to some degree what we would probably do in the draft, although you're never going to pass up a good football player, right? But it will change our outlook a good bit.
Definitely. Anything else on the mock draft or anything else before we head out?
No, we'll do a couple more mock drafts before. We plan on doing two more before the actual draft gets here. So just stay tuned, and by next week when we actually come on again, we will already have a ton of free agency rumors and reports, even though we may not have anything official yet. So stay tuned.
All right, please make sure you subscribe to Pro Football Enterprises and set notifications for when Ben uploads videos, not just on this mock draft, but other mock drafts for other teams, as well as other of these prospects, many of them that we discussed tonight. So make sure you're subscribed. Thank you. We'll see you next time.